Did you know that all the way up until 2010, 15 years ago, it was still perfectly legal for insurance companies and healthcare providers to charge women more than they charged men? You'd know this if you listen to my podcast. And I would bet if you listen to my podcast, you'd probably get a pretty quick indicator as to why I'm so irritated all the fucking time. Because I find out tidbits like this. I go do a deep dive and then I open a whole can of worms and I realize how abso-fucking-lutely broken our society is. So we're on season 2 of Cinema Sunday. And I know you're thinking, what does a movie review podcast have to do with anything? Well, this is season 2, Trial by Jury, where I very specifically picked movies, really important movies that discuss the American justice system. And this week I watched On the Basis of Sex. It is from 2018. And it's meant to be this sort of origin story about Ruth Bader Ginsburg and her path from college all the way to the Supreme Court. Fantastic. I'm in. I want to watch it. However, the shit I learned along the way, the fight is not nearly over. There are still so many things we have to fix when it comes to gender equality and gender acceptance in our country. I really hadn't understood this before I watched this movie. The case that they examine in this movie is Moritz versus Commissioner, which is a sex discrimination case. And how many times have you seen movies where women are just fighting and minorities and gays were fighting to be treated equally? How many times have women gone before courts and the judges have been like, womp, womp, sorry, little girl, go home. You don't get to be equal. But this was the case of a man who wasn't treated equally under the law. It was the perfect case to set precedent for 2 decades worth of gender discrimination cases. It's brilliant. This is the final episode of season 2, 12 episodes. Each one are about 30 to 40 minutes long. And each one goes through a movie that is super important. Even if you haven't watched the movie, just listen to the podcast because each one talks about whether it's our right to protest, our right to free speech, our right to religious freedom, lawyers fighting against corporations, lawyers fighting against healthcare companies, the right to love who you want to love. These are really important issues that go before judges every single day in America. Cinema Sunday is available wherever you get your podcasts. Season 2 is Trial by Jury. If you're feeling really fancy and you got a ton of time to kill, you could go back to season 1 where I watched every single one of the 96 movies that at the time had won an Oscar for Best Picture and reviewed them. There's 100+ episodes there if you got a lot of time on your hands. Enjoy. Available wherever you get your podcasts.